Hi there, a very warm welcome to The Sweet Spot. It's the Racing Post's weekly golf show with me, Bruce Millington, and Steve Palmer's taking a week off this week. So we've got Joe Champion in the seat. Last time Champ was on the show, he nailed a big price winner. We've got 3 tournaments for him to get stuck into this week. First though, quick word on what happened last weekend. Jason Koepka at about 40-1 won the, what was it last week?
The Charles Schwab.
Charles Schwab, that was it. And then in the Made in Himmerland up in Denmark, Brent Wiesberger, second favourite, 7th tour win in Europe. He's a winning machine. He's in form. He defended his title after a 2-year absence. That was a good performance by Wiesberger, wasn't it, Joe? I mean, he's decent. There was nothing. If you backed him, you didn't really have a moment's concern there, did you?
No, not at all. He was excellent. I tipped Guido Migliozzi in the RFO, and he briefly looked like he posted score, but Wiesberger soon took that out of the equation by just completely destroying the back 9 as well as the front. He was fantastic throughout the tournament. And I think you mentioned how many European Tour wins he's had. The European Tour tweeted the other day that only Rory McIlroy and Dustin Johnson have had more wins since I think 2011 on the European Tour than Wiesberger. And of course, those will include majors and WGC. So Wiesberger has really had more wins than anyone else in European Tour events. So very impressive from the Austrian.
It was, wasn't it? And if you're wondering what Joe means with the RFO, it's that brilliant weekly publication, the Racing and Football Outlook. Joe Champion is their golf correspondent and a fine judge he is as well. Wiesberger's back in action this week, so we'll talk about him later, no doubt. Over in America then, Joe, I mean, the story was Jordan Spieth's final round demise, wasn't it? It was a pathetic final round effort from him. I mean, he hadn't looked particularly steady on the Saturday, I didn't think, and some of the commentators were saying, well, that was probably his wobble. But then I'm sure other people would have thought, well, hang on a sec, he's not playing that well. He's very short going into the final round. And he threw it away, didn't he? Not very good, that.
Yeah, he did. And he went 2 ahead as well at one point at the start of the final round. And from there on, he just lost it off the tee a bit. And we have to come to expect that with Spieth. We know he's obviously turned a corner in his game, but at the same time, I think there's still a little bit of work to do. I did tip him last week, so I managed to get the runner-up double across both events.
Oh, lucky, mate.
The one you don't want. But yeah, I think we've always seen with Spieth that he has the potential to be wayward off the tee, even when he's at his best. It's always, you think back to when he won the Open and he's playing his shots from all over the place and just relying on his magnificent short game skills. And I think, the putter did threaten to bail him out of jail, but Kokrak was just too good, really. We have to hand it to Kokrak, who was brilliant from tee to green. And it's a course where you've got to be good from tee to green. Spieth was missing greens, and the short game couldn't bail him out in the final round, whereas Kokrak, he was almost holding out from the fairway on occasion. The amount of spin he was generating on the ball was outrageous. He had one that nearly went in and then spanned to about 20 feet behind the pin. But yeah, great performance from Kokrak, who's a player who's been playing really well over the last few years, and he's deserving everything he's getting now. He obviously won the CJ Cup last autumn, and now he's a 2-time winner this season.
And Champ, the one thing that probably stops him entering that really top bracket is just his putting, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. But he's obviously put in a lot of work with the putter, and you see that. These players, that if they strike the ball well and if the putter just behaves for a week, then they will go close. And he's definitely in that bracket, along with quite a few others.
Do any of the market leaders, apart from Spieth, disappointed? Because I was looking through this season, Joe, and I was thinking there's a lot. Most of these tournaments, you get 1 or 2 players, sort of 12-1 and under. I don't think their record's that good. I'm obviously talking about John Rahm, who we will come on to this week. But, I'm not sure that backing these guys, from sort of 14-1 and shorter is a particularly profitable tactic this year.
No, I think you have to play each tournament as it comes, don't you? Spieth, I obviously mentioned I was on him last week. I find it very difficult to see him not sort of being in the places at least, and that obviously proved to be the case. You mentioned Justin Thomas, he hasn't been playing well. I think that's mainly down to his putter more than anything.
And yet he popped up with a win, didn't he, at Players, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think so, but he was just magnificent from tee to green over the weekend. He tore through the field on the Saturday, and then was excellent on the Sunday. And as I say, when the putter does behave, he will win titles. But couldn't back him with much confidence at the odds that he's going off at the moment.
No, absolutely. Right then, let's look ahead then. It's a slightly strange week this week. We've got a very orthodox tournament in America. It's the Memorial, as per normal, Thursday to Monday. But in Europe, the Porsche European Open in Germany is a 54-hole event taking place on Saturday, Sunday and Monday. Why is that, Joe? What's been going on there? Is it COVID related?
It is COVID related. I was trying to wrap my head around exactly why this is the case. It's to do with the restrictions between Germany and the UK. And I think if you arrive in Germany from the UK, you have to quarantine for a certain amount of time. So even if you've been in the UK, so some of these guys that played at the Belfry 2 weeks ago, for example, they've gone to Denmark, obviously, probably on the Monday or on the Sunday night. And then they've had to sort of they've been in Denmark for however many days, and they have to be out of the UK for a certain amount of time before they can set.
Let's put it down to COVID. It is what it is. It's a slightly strange one. We'll look at that in a minute. We've also got the US Women's Open, but we'll start with the Memorial, which is really, really good. Let's have a look at the prices before Joe tells us who he fancies. Big Johnny Rahm, favourite again, 10-1. Would you want to back John Rahm at 10-1? Rather you than me. 14-1, Jordan Spieth. 16's Rory. 16's Justin Thomas. 18-1, Bryson DeChambeau. God, what a field. 16, Colin Morikawa. 18, Victor Hovland. 22-1, Schauffele. I'm just looking down to see if Bryson's old mate Koepka's playing. He's not, is he, this week? That's a shame. Not, I tell you, if you were the organiser, you would have paired them together, wouldn't you? Anyway, the point is, you can tell from that, and as always, shop around for the best prices and the best place terms, that it's a really cracking tournament, this, isn't it, Joe? Where are we? What sort of course is it?
We're at Muirfield Village Golf Club in Dublin, Ohio, and that's Jack Nicklaus's golf course. You'll remember last year there were two tournaments at Muirfield Village, the Memorial, as is the custom every year, and the one-off Workday Charity Open the week before. That was won by Colin Morikawa, who took down Justin Thomas in a playoff. You remember they both hold monster putts in the playoff. An absolute thriller that was. And a week later, John
You're
Rahm,
doing that thing Steve does to me. He goes, you'll remember that. I don't remember anything. I better remember who won the Open last year.
Well, I had to remind myself of these things, so I now have them fresh in the mind again. But
mind you, I'd have a job remembering who won the Open last year, wouldn't I? But anyway, so it's a classic Jack Nicklaus course, isn't it? And all the big names are there. How many selections?
I've got four selections for the Memorial this week.
4 selections. Can you try again? How many selections have you got? 4
selections this week.
No, come on. Post sweet spot. Yeah. How many selections this week? That put you back into it, Joe. Right, who's your main man?
My main man this week is Patrick Cantlay, who's a former winner of this tournament. I've mentioned Morikawa won here, and that's the sort of player that we need to win this week. Morikawa, Cantlay, these precise iron players. He won this in 2019, Cantlay, closed with a 64 to take down Adam Scott by 2 shots. And that was a week where he ranked 5th in strokes gained approach, which is your main sort of stat for Memorial this week. We should mention, first of all, that this course, since last year, has undergone significant renovations. As they were walking off the tees on the back 9 on Sunday last year, they were busy ripping up the greens, ready to renovate. So they basically have made this course. It's going to not resemble what it did before, but I imagine that the strokes gained test will still be the main port of call. They've fitted a sub-air system into the green, so they'll be able to keep those firm and fast if they want, regardless of the weather in the build-up. So we can expect those that find the greens in regulation to really thrive this week. So on to Cantlay. He made a strong start to the year, Cantlay. I think he was top 15 in his first 4 tournaments. Then he's dipped significantly, and most people would have been really put off by Cantlay up until the USPGA last time out, where he was much better at Kiowa. He was 8th in strokes gained approach and 5th off the tee. He finished 23rd, and much of that was down to a cold putter. But that's something that he can easily put right. And he's got good course form here. I mentioned he won in 2019. He was also 4th in 2018, where he was 2nd in strokes gained approach behind Tiger Woods. And he was 7th at the Workday last year. I don't think he's finished worse than 35th in 5 attempts at this golf course.
Okay, jolly good. He's around about 22-1. So Cantlay's the headline selection. Who's the second best?
So the next best is Patrick Reed, who I think Steve tipped last week, and he missed the cut by 1 shot. And as a result, he's sort of arriving here under the radar. But he wasn't terrible at Colonial. He shot a first round 68, putted badly on the Friday, but we know that's not Patrick Reed, really. Anyone can have a bad day with a putter. His 4 previous starts before that, he was 8th for Augusta National at the Masters, 6th for the Wells Fargo, 17th for the USPGA. He appreciates a tough test, and I think that's what he's going to get this week. I mentioned that they've got the ability to manipulate these greens now. They're going to firm them up, and he was 10th in this last year when it played as hard as it has done for some time when Jon Rahm won. And he was 8th there at 2016 as well. I don't think his putter's going to stay cold for very long. And what I like about Reed is he won at Torrey Pines earlier this year in the Farmers Insurance Open. And there's a nice link between Torrey Pines and Muirfield Village. Justin Rose has won both of them. Jon Rahm's won both of them. Tiger Woods has won both of them about 5 times each. So I think Reed can add his name to that list of people who's won both tournaments.
Oh, that's a good angle. What I like about Reed, Joe, is that when he's in contention, he looks like he fancies it, doesn't he? Some of the guys you get, once they start getting up there, they get a little bit of vertiginous, don't they? But he loves the heat of battle, doesn't he? Excellent. So 2 Patricks so far. Who are you going to go for next?
I've got 2 Patricks and I've got a Fitzpatrick as well. That's
lovely.
Nice little link for you. Another player like Patrick Reed is going to relish this tough test of tee to green golf. Fitzpatrick finished 3rd behind Rahm last year, and his Muirfield Village form reads a progressive 68th on debut, fair enough, 27th and then 3rd from 3 starts. He's been ultra consistent this year, Matt Fitzpatrick. Finished 17th or better in 6 of his first 7 events of the year, from the Dubai Desert Classic onwards to the Heritage. And the only time he was outside of the top 17 was when he was 34 for the Masters. Missed the cut in the Byron Nelson, but he finished 23rd at the USPGA. And we know that Kiara Island is one of the longest tracks out there. It's not going to suit Matt Fitzpatrick's game at all. But he's shown that he can contend around here, and I think he looks a rock solid each way bet.
Okay, so we've got Patrick Cantlay, Patrick Reed, Matthew Fitzpatrick. Is it Porrig Harrington next? Who are you going to go for as your 4th one?
It's not. There's no Patrick for the 4th selection. It's Billy Horschel, who's very much a horse for the course here. Horschel finished 9th, 7th and 13th in his last 3 Muirfield Village starts, and he's had 5 top 15 finishes at this track in total. Obviously, he won the WGC match play earlier in the season, and since then he's been solid but sort of unspectacular. So as a result, we're getting a much bigger price about him, which I'm quite happy to take. He's finished no worse than 50th in 4 starts since, so he's not playing dismally. He's 23rd at the USPGA. Needs to sharpen up the approaches. That's the only worry for Horschel this week. But I think if he can work on the irons, then he's definitely in with a great shout at a course where he clearly likes it.
Excellent. He's around about 60 to 1. A quick word on the market leaders, because as I said at the start, there's a lot of big names in this. Jon Rahm, defending champ, 10 to 1. Does he do it for you at that price?
Not 10 to 1. He was quite easy to cross off the list, really. You've always got to respect Rahm wherever he tees it up because he's so good and he'll drive the ball brilliantly as he always does. But I just don't think he's quite there since the switch to Callaway, and he's readily admitted that as well. He'll get there, I imagine, but not for me this week.
Okay. What about Spieth? Can he put last week's disappointment behind him?
Has every chance, but he's not really contended too much at this course, so I'd be happy to swerve him given his driving problems on Sunday.
Okay, Justin Thomas, quick line on him.
Same again, really. The putter's been laying him down. Obviously, nearly won the workday. Does like this course, but not for me this week.
Rory?
Well, Rory, I considered Rory, but he's not got a great record in this tournament, so I'd be happy to leave him.
Okay, fair enough. What about Big Bryson? He's probably been on the punch bag all week, hasn't he, with a picture of Brooks Koepka taped to it. Is it going to be a distraction now, or are we reading too much into it?
Perhaps we're reading a bit too much into it. I just think this is a second shot golf course, and if anything, that's probably the weakest part of his game.
Do you like that little spat they've got? It's been going on and on, hasn't it? It's just not stopping.
It's amusing me. I quite like it, to be honest.
If you were the organiser, you just would put them together, wouldn't you? There's just no question about it. Who would you make as the 3rd player in there?
Well, they need a mediator, don't they? Someone who can sort of calm them down if it gets too heated. Either that or someone who's going to wind them up even more.
Yeah, I was thinking more the latter, actually. I mean, if you wanted, you could have Rocco mediate, couldn't you? But of course, he's retired now, hasn't he? But I don't know. I mean, Mickelson would be quite good fun in there. But no, I think you want someone to stir the pot, don't you? Maybe, what about Poulter? He'd get him at it, wouldn't he? Or someone like that?
Yeah.
That would be good, but I don't know whether it will happen or not.
Could be at Torrey Pines, of course, because they're in the US Open. It'd be 2 of the last 3 winners of the US Open in the group, so that would be a perfect excuse to have them together.
It would be so good. That's where you'd want the featured groups, isn't it? In fact, you wouldn't even have featured groups; you just have them.
The third would be Gary Woodland if they went down that route. He seems like a nice chap, Gary.
He does seem, actually, he's probably a bit too nice for that. Yeah, he does seem a very nice chap. Okay. And the other one, I suppose, there's 2 more at sub 20 to 1, and that's Morikawa and Hovland. Who'd like best out of those 2, Joe?
I was close to tipping both of them, really. Morikawa obviously won the workday, has a good chance, and Hovland's just excellent wherever he goes, but I was a bit disappointed with his finish over the weekend at the USPGA when he looked like he had a really good chance of winning.
Okay, dokes. Let's move on to the European Open, sponsored by Porsche. Like we said at the start, it takes place on Saturday, Sunday and Monday, just 54 holes. And we've got 2 very short price contenders here. Paul Casey 6 to 1, Abraham Answer at 8 to 1, and then you've got Wiesberger at 16s. At 20s, you've got Schwab, 25 Horsfield, 30 Cantor, 35 Butt. So the market here, Joe, very much skewed towards the front 2. I mean, between them, they take about 25% out of the book. Is it a 2-horse race, or should we be looking elsewhere for value?
I'll definitely be looking elsewhere. If you said there were 2 people at the top of the market at short odds who you wouldn't want to back, Paul Casey and Abraham Answer would probably be at the top of a lot of people's lists on the basis that they're not exactly reliable when in contention. I think Casey is the defending champion this week, and he's obviously worthy of a lot of respect. He's been playing well, but could I back him at that price, especially in a tournament where it's been reduced to 54 holes? I think the less holes, the more likely it is that we get a bigger price winner this week.
Casey, where are we, by the way, Joe? What course is it? And
yeah, we should mention that.
Like? Yeah.
So it's Green Eagle Golf Course in Hamburg. Hamburg for the European Open. It's officially 7,544 yard par 72, but this is a monster golf course that they can make play in excess of 7,800 yards. I think it's pretty much the longest golf course they play on the European Tour. Gary Player Country Club is longer, but it's at altitude, so this is as long as it gets, really. There's 5 par 5 holes, and that includes the 15th and 16th and 18th, so you can in for exciting finish at this golf course. Stays the last 3 editions of the event, and what you need here is guys who are long off the tee. It's one of the longest courses you're going to get, and you look at the list of players that have won, one of whom is one of my best bets, the other whom is Paul Casey, and the Richard McEvoy actually won, who's not the longest, but he beat a list of long players, including
Bryson.
Didn't he beat
Bryson, didn't he? That was when Bryson DeChambeau very rudely didn't really give him much of a handshake. Yeah, that was when we first realised what Bryson DeChambeau was all
Bryson
about,
was becoming very petulant since then. Yeah.
Absolute child. Okay, right there. How many selections, Joe?
I've got 5 for this one.
5, rightio. Far away with your headliner.
My headliner is the 2017 champion Jordan Smith, who's
Jordan Smith. Wow.
He's about 45 to 1 this week. He's proved he can handle this course. He hunted down Alex Levy before beating the Frenchman in a playoff 4 years ago. I think Levy, as he tends to do, has missed a couple of short putts to let Smith in that week. Course form since has been poor. Smith, at his title defence in 2018, he arrived having missed 2 of his last 3 cuts and finished 64th. 2019, he arrived at Green Eagle on the stretch of 4 missed cuts and didn't make the weekend again. That's not a problem for me. This week, he arrives in much better nick. After a low-key start to the year, he's played himself into form. He was 17th at the Belfry and 3rd at Himmerland last week, where he improved throughout the week. He finished with a 65 to grab 3rd place behind Wiesberger and Migliozzi. He's all about the driver, Jordan Smith. He ranked 2nd in strokes gained off the tee on Saturday at Himmerland, 1st on Sunday. That's his game. If he drives the ball well this week, then I expect him to go very close to the course that clearly suits.
I'm around about 45 to 1, Jordan Smith. Okay, next up.
Jordan Smith from Bath, and so too is Laurie Cantor, who I know was popular last week. Another guy that drives the ball a long way. He ranks 2nd on the European Tour for strokes gained off the tee, and he's steadily returning to the form which saw him threaten a breakthrough at the end of last year. I think it's a matter of time before Cantor wins on the European Tour, and Green Eagle really is built for his power pack game. 2 moderate efforts in Tenerife on return to action after a few weeks off. Followed that with 30th at the Belfry, and obviously 8th last week at Himmerland when quite a few people were on him. Better was expected at a course where he finished 37th in 2017. Laurie Cantor 4 years ago was, virtually a nobody on the European Tour. Now he's one of the guys who goes off among the favourites wherever he goes, and nowhere near the player he was 4 years ago. I think Cantor's built for this test.
Okie dokes. Who else do you like?
So I've got 3 more long drivers for you. One of whom is Ryan Fox, who bombs it a mile off the tee. He finished 60th on his Green Eagle debut 2 years ago. That was the last time this tournament was hosted, and he arrived in Hamburg that week having missed 8 of his last 9 cuts. So 60th represented something of an improvement for Fox, and I think it's telling that he rocks up this week. He obviously saw something he liked, because after the desert swing at the start of the year, this year, he returned to New Zealand for a few months. Back in Europe last week at Himmerland, where he missed the cut by 1 shot, 70-71, no disgrace. I think he's probably treating Himmerland as a warm-up for this event, which he knows he can win. And Ryan Fox, the last time we saw him before Denmark, he was 6th in Saudi Arabia in that strong event won by Dustin Johnson. So we know that he can compete among the best. This isn't a particularly strong field this week, and Ryan Fox should love this course.
Okay, Ryan Fox ran about, let me see now, what's that say, 50-1. And 2 more.
The next one's Danny Van Tonder, another long hitter who became a European Tour winner at the Savannah Classic a few months ago, where he was pretty nerveless to beat Jana Wattenanond in a playoff. That came after months of dominating on the Sunshine Tour, the South African Tour, where he won 4 times in 2020, and he looks ready for the step up to become a European Tour regular now he's earned his playing rights. And what I like about Van Tonder is he should be full of confidence after finishing 44th on his major debut at the USPGA. Kira Island's a long course, and so is this one, and I think it's made for him.
Okay, and finally?
The last one is Julien Guerrier, a Frenchman who's been solid in recent months on the European Tour. He's made the cut in 8 of his last 9 events, and one of his best performances came at Himmerland last week, where he's excellent from tee to green. He's another guy who's long off the tee, among the longest on the circuit, and any improvement with the putter, which was very cold last week, any improvement with the putter should see him threaten the places at least, I'd say.
Oh, there it is, 90-1, yeah. 90-1 him, and 75's Danny Van Tonder. Okay, excellent. And of the front 2, Joe, do you have a preference, or do you just think they both stink at the prices?
Yeah, really, a preference would probably be for Casey, who's seen the course, has won there, has been playing brilliantly, but I can leave him at that price all day long.
The only thing is, though, Joe, I mean, that Casey and Ants have both been playing really well on the US Tour. They've both been finishing prominently week after week. Yes, I accept your point about them potentially, being slightly unproven in the heat of battle. But they're up against, Wiesberger aside, they're up against the usual kind of, cast of the European Tour, which is a long, long way below the US Tour. I mean, is it not? Are you slightly concerned they could just dominate?
They certainly could, but we've had a lot of good players come over and play this tournament. We mentioned Bryson, Xander Schauffele's played here, Patrick Reed's played here. None of them have won it. Casey's the best player to have won it at Green Eagle in the last few years, and yeah, I'd fully expect them to be there or thereabouts, but I could definitely leave them at the prices they are.
Okay, we've also got we've got a women's major this week, haven't we? It starts on Thursday. It's the US Women's Open. Front few are Inbee Park at 11-1, 14-1 Lydia Ko, 14 is Jin Young Ko, 14-1 Aria Jatunagan, and 16-1 Bar. Where is this taking place, Joe? And do you have a selection for us?
Yeah, we're at the Lake Course at the Olympic Club in San Francisco, California, and it's probably be best known in recent times as the scene of Webb Simpson's US Open win. Obviously, it's going to play a lot shorter for the women's major than it will for the men's, sort of 6,500 yards or so. I've got one selection this week.
And who is she?
It's Lydia Ko. So we've got a Kiwi in Ryan Fox, and we've got one in Lydia Ko as well. We've mentioned Jordan Spieth and how he's returned to prominence, and Lydia Ko is pretty much the LPGA version of Jordan Spieth. She dominated from a very young age and then completely lost her form, lost all confidence with her swing. And then suddenly she's quickly returned to prominence and really caught the eye when runner-up at the ANA Inspiration, the last ladies major. carded a final round 62 and nearly tracked down Patty Tavatanakit, who was a long way in front at that stage. She's since gone on to win the Lotte Championship a week after that in Hawaii, her first win for 3 years. Missed the cut in the LA Open after that, but I think we can forgive her for that after contending in a major and then winning for the first time in a long time. And since then, she's played in Asia and finished 7th and 11th. She's won numerous times in California, including the Inspiration in 2016, and she's won in San Francisco before. And I think she looks a surefire contender.
Fantastic. Excellent, Joe. Let's solemnly and clearly recap the selections. The Memorial Tournament.
So for the Memorial, I've gone for Patrick Cantlay, Patrick Reed, Matt Fitzpatrick, and Billy Horschel.
And for the Porsche European Open,
Jordan Smith, Laurie Cantor, Ryan Fox, Danny Van Tonder, and Julian Guerriere.
Lovely. And finally, in the US Women's Open,
Lydia Ko.
Lydia Ko. By the way, shout out to George on the YouTube comments last week. He said, I'm going with Kokrak at 50s. What a brilliant shout that was. Excellent stuff. In fact, there was a few shouts there. T. Mitchell. He says he went for Ortiz, Horschel and Kokrak. Brilliant stuff. So don't forget, get your shouts in underneath the feed. Let us know your comments. We'd love to know who you are going to be backing this week. Joe, thank you very much indeed. So obviously Racing and Football Outlook is out today with all your tips. Are you doing the Racing Post this week as well with Steve off?
No, Ian Wilkerson's the man.
Wilco's doing that. Okay, so that will be Wednesday's Racing Post and Saturday's Racing Post. Oh no, Friday's Racing Post. They're top tournament guides. And a big shout out to Thursday's Racing Post. It's the big one. A massive 72-page guide to the European Championships. That is a must for football punters. Absolutely brilliant. Joe's been working hard on that, I know. And I'm sure the moment he logs off, he will be getting busy with that again because it's all hands to the pump. Absolutely frantic. Okay. Jack Reeve and Steve Palmer are back next week to preview there's a mixed doubles event somewhere in Scandinavia, and there's also a new tournament in America called the Palmetto Championship. And in 2 weeks' time, I'm back on the sweet spot with Steve to preview the US Open. We'll see you then.